Welcome to the Gerry and Mander Show, brought to you by WIUX LP Bloomington. I'm your host, Gerry.
And I'm your host, Mander. Politics and music brought to you by the least informed students on campus.
So today we have a special show for you guys. We're going to be talking quite a bit more than we have in the past.
Unfortunately,
yeah. I mean, we love music here, but we got to bring what the people want, and that is
us.
More of us. Exactly.
They want us. They called in. They want us.
Exactly. So we're going to be talking about a few topics today. We're going to start off talking about Tim Ryan's departure from the presidential campaign, and I'm going to read off a poem to him that I didn't write, but I think something that he holds near and dear to his heart.
That's beautiful.
And then we're also going to be talking about the presidential inquiry, impeachment inquiry, and then we'll be ending off talking about Kanye West's new album, Jesus is King. That was like months in the making, month behind schedule from release, if I'm correct.
I would like to say it's a lifetime in the making of Kanye West.
Oh, truly.
Truly.
And Mander and I have different opinions on it, so we're excited to talk about it, and we'll talk about that for like 15 minutes towards the end.
Yeah.
While I listen to one song from there, and then maybe a little interlude while we speak. So now I'm going to switch to Tim Ryan. And Tim Ryan, if you're listening, we just want to talk a little bit about your experience on the campaign trail. So you decided to run back in April 19th. You were one of the earliest people to run. And we know that you dropped out of the race this week. And you only had 39,900 Twitter followers. And I would like to congratulate you. You received your highest liked Twitter post, your tweet, when you announced that you weren't running anymore. So congratulations. You hit a marvel in your own life.
Yeah.
And we think it's a momentous occasion that should mark your presidential campaign.
I agree.
And, your journey as a human being on this planet.
He went out like Dave Chappelle. He went out at the top, bro. The last thing he did.
And everyone will remember him for that.
One of the greats.
Exactly. I mean, he'll be a legend. He'll come back and do stand-up in Congress 10 years down the line when he finally upgrades.
His filibuster, truly.
Yeah.
Enlightening.
But that kind of brings me to a good point. So the song we were just listening to is Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. And it's a song about Kent State and the shooting that happened there back in the 60s. And there's a line that really angered people from back then. In the song it says, 10 soldiers and Nixon coming, we're finally on our own. The summer I hear the drumming, 4 dead in Ohio. So, there's a lot of controversy around the song, and we're going to touch on that more. But just for Tim Ryan, I like to just transition quickly into a poem. It's called This is Losing the Race, a poem by Cat Ducat. I think it's a wonderfully vivid poem about...
visceral, really visceral.
Yeah, visceral, about dealing with loss, love, and overcoming tragedy.
It's a poem about life.
It's a poem about the meaning of it, truly. So without further ado, This is Losing the Race, a poem by Cat Ducat. Running, faster and faster, breath coming in gasps. Still, I keep running. I pass the second place person. Time is ticking slowly. As I run and run and run, I run until my legs can carry me no further, only to cross the finish line to cheering. For the first place winner, oh well, I lost the race. Oh well, there's always another day to win. Tim Ryan, we wish you the best of luck in the future. And we're excited to see where you go with your life, how you serve the people of Ohio and your constituents out in the world.
Hey, moment of silence for Tim.
Let's give it 2 seconds. We don't want to anger the FCC.
Okay, here we go.
But
3, 2, 1, go. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim Ryan.
Thank you.
You served your country well.
Thank you.
So our next song that we're going to be playing is He's Mr. Know-It-All by Stevie Wonder. Can you give us some background on that, please?
Yeah, sure. So this is He's Mr. Know-It-All. It's the last track off of Stevie's album, Inner Visions, which came out in 1972. I think this was a single maybe, or maybe it was on the album, but it came out in April of 1972.
It was on the album.
Yeah, and it really is just, like I would say, one of the definitive songs about the Nixon impeachment and, Watergate and all of that, and kind of about the frustration and anger of things leading up to that, and just like how Nixon was not what a lot of people wanted him to be when he got elected. So I think it's a song that touches on that.
Yeah, and I'll give some background after the song's over, just so you can get some time. But we'll see you in a few moments. And remember, you're listening to WIUX LP Bloomington, and this is the Gerry and Mander Show. Welcome back to the Gerry and Mander Show. I'm your host, Gerry.
And I'm your co-host, Mander. Politics and music brought to you by the least informed students on campus. So, I've been really hungry this October, Gerry.
Me too, particularly in preparation for Halloween, where there's a promise of sweets at every corner and spooks around every door.
And when I'm promised something, that promise better be fulfilled. IU 2019. So you got any recipes? You got any recipes, Jerry? You got any really good recipes?
I do. So I'm a commuter to campus. I kind of live far out. So I was driving to campus and I drove by Kroger and I decided to pick up some really cheap bread, some Kraft not mac and cheese, but just like, those like cheese singles. They're not like actual cheese.
Yeah, they're like the singlets.
Yeah, like they don't even classify into
They're
the
like
FDA.
little cheese handkerchiefs.
Yeah, basically, but like they're just plastic, but they're delicious, And so I also had some butter. I decided to just bring up along a whole like 8 tablespoons of it.
On the bus?
No, I was in my car.
Oh.
And so, but I found this recipe that it was inspired by the New York Times. They, their guy over there who does cooking.
Yeah.
He suggested like using a skillet and like a stove to make grilled cheese. But I was like, I can't do that. We gotta move fast in this world.
We gotta move fast.
And that's why you're in the car right now, and you're probably listening to us online. But this is a constantly moving world. We're in 2019. The world's moving quickly. Mm-hmm. So I developed a recipe that I'd like to share with all of you guys today about how to make grilled cheese in your car while going to work, class, or whatever it is, or just going out for a Friday night in case you needed to fill up before you start drinking. So to begin, you need to go to Kroger and you need to buy.
Or your other.
You need to go to any other store that has really cheap bread. I live closest to Kroger, so that's where I go. But we don't endorse any particular supermarkets.
You can catch me in a sewer if there's a bag of bread that hasn't expired down there.
So yeah, wherever you can find something, and then you need those you just need the cheapest cheese possible. It doesn't even need to be real cheese.
It can be anything.
You need just a little bit of butter. And so what you need to do is you need to turn your car up as hot as possible. It doesn't even matter if your heat works. It's just you got to get like something running. And eventually, if your car needs to be at least made in the 1990s. If it's not, it doesn't work. And so your dashboard needs to get like really, really warm.
Yeah.
And it needs to be metal. And then you set the cheese on top and you kind of grill it. You grill it a little bit, and then you put the white bread on top of the cheese. And as the cheese melts onto like your dashboard, it kind of creates like this nice like plasticky, smoky flavor. And
Wait. I got a couple questions, Jerry.
Yeah.
First of all, you put the cheese directly on the dash. So how are you going to get it off?
Well, you use the toast that you've kind of like. You want to use the cheese to kind of like boil a little bit, just so you can like burn it. So
you want bubble.
You want bubbles. It's basically plastic, so bubble, and it'll get inside the toast, and it'll basically infuse them together.
Oh.
And you should be able to just use your hand, just swipe it, really quickly.
Or it just comes right off.
And if you break your car like really quickly, like you need to get up to 80 miles per hour, and then you need to brake as fast as possible, and it should just come right into your mouth.
Just go. Whoa. That's clever.
Yeah, we're in a fast moving world, and you gotta have fast moving food.
Exactly. If I'm gonna be on the move, then the food better be moving too. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So we recommend that you share this with your family and friends.
Yeah. You don't have to do it. Like I won't be upset if you don't.
But I think that you should consider trying it.
You should consider it.
Because it's changed. It's revolutionized my life.
Yeah.
I went out last Friday night to go write cover letters. I was having a wild night. And I made this grilled cheese, and I was ready to go for like the next 4 days. I haven't eaten since, actually.
Really?
Because it got me ready.
To be honest, I haven't had anything to eat in months. I've been eating like plastic and stuff. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that our diets are clearly changing, and this is mostly meant for college students because we know you're
budget.
It's on a budget. So if you want, you can just eat your dashboard. Whatever works for you. All right,
whichever one's cheaper.
Yeah, whatever's cheaper for you. So, our next song that we're gonna be playing is by the group Death Cab for Cutie. Their song $1 Million Loan. And we're gonna be moving into talking more about Donald Trump and the impeachment inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
Not about eating your dashboard because it has nutritious plastics in it. But we kind of want to go into a little bit of a more realm about protest music in the contemporary age of Donald Trump. We don't really talk about Donnie T on the show, and that's for good reason. We want to focus on local politics.
Yep.
But since this is our Halloween special, we figured that we would talk about something that a lot of Americans seem to be scared about.
Existential dread.
Some people really, really love Halloween, and that's kind of like our Trump supporters who are listening. And then there's people who really don't like Halloween, and that's basically anyone else who doesn't like Donald Trump.
And then 1 year from now, it'll be that time of the decade where we have to elect a new president or re-elect the current one, and that's going to be around that Halloween.
Yeah,
next year. So
basically, this is our penultimate Halloween before the 2020
penultimate Halloween period.
Yeah, and this you're sharing with Gerry and Mander on Monday, October 28th.
You guys are such sweethearts.
Yeah, I mean, we really enjoy being with you guys talking about this kind of stuff. So, without further ado, it's Death Cab for Cutie, $1 Million Loan. We're going to delve right into the Trump impeachment inquiry right afterwards. But we're also going to play back-to-back with that another song that we'll introduce afterwards. So, without further ado, it's Death Cab for Cutie's $1 Million Loan.
Welcome back to the Gerry and Mander Show. I'm your host, Mander.
And I'm your co-host, Gerry. I think that's the first time I've ever said that.
It feels good. It feels good, Gerry.
I mean, now you have, like, all the power.
It's mine, bro. It's mine.
It's very exciting. Very exciting.
I'm ready.
So that was a song by Death Cab for Cutie, $1 Million Loan. And if you didn't catch on, it's kind of a very, not explicit song, but in its messaging, it's very explicit. It's referencing the $1 Million Loan that Fred Trump gave Donald Trump back in the 1970s. And essentially, like, Donald Trump was like, I got a small loan of $1 million.
It's tongue-in-cheek.
It is very tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
But it's one of the reasons that the song is kind of talking about, like, how you can't do anything without a $1 million loan. And, like, that's how you have to start. And most Americans do not start off with a $1 million loan. I did not. I don't know about you, Mander.
You know, thinking about it, I can't say I did.
Another man who didn't really start off with a $1 million loan, but has turned himself into a $1 million industry, a millions of dollar industry, is Kendrick Lamar. Someone who you and I are both huge fans of. I've been interested in Kendrick Lamar since 2016. I wasn't really interested in hip hop until then. But when Damn came out in, it was 2017.
2017.
It was right around the end of senior year.
Yeah.
Of high school. But yeah, I mean, it's just we're going to be playing All Right, which is a song, I mean, it covers a range of issues. But it came out under the Obama era. It came out, To Pimp a Butterfly came out in April of 2015.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's considered like a masterpiece. I would say if there's a few albums that are 10 out of 10s,
it's one of them.
To Pimp a Butterfly is a 10 out of 10. There's only a few other ones, and like they don't even come to mind. You know, like it's just like To Pimp a Butterfly is a pinnacle of, at least in hip hop.
Yeah.
Maybe besides like The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Fire.
Is very, very good. But I might even hesitate from saying 10 out of 10. I mean, maybe it's like a 9 out of 10, and then upon further listens, I might think it's 10 out of 10.
It's a grower.
But essentially, you know, Kendrick Lamar came out of a period where his album was influenced by a lot. So it was influenced by R&B and soul, 70s, the Motown era with Marvin Gaye, and a bunch of other artists from the early 70s and late 60s. And then it's also influenced by jazz and modern hip-hop. And also just, I mean, he comes from Compton.
Yeah, so he's influenced by Tupac.
Yeah, I mean, he's...
NWA.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of an incredible album. And it's like this interdisciplinary approach to hip-hop music that's really powerful. And it kind of speaks to the Trump era as well.
Yeah.
And particularly a lot of, you know, issues about race have accelerated under Donald Trump. Or at least, you know, there's more issues about white nationalism. And then how the black communities kind of respond to that, but also how all Americans are interacting with that. And it's just, you know, the insurgence of violence from the right, from the extreme right. And it's just, that's kind of what we're dealing with under the Trump administration. But this came out right beforehand, and it's a really good song that we like to get back into. We're going to come back afterwards, because on this song, it features Kamasi Washington. Did I say that correct, man?
Yeah, Kamasi Washington.
And he's a saxophonist, but also a general musician. And he has several albums that are really, really special. And we'll be playing a song from his 2018 album, Heaven and Earth, called Street Fighter. I'm forgetting the last part of the song. We'll get there when we get to it.
We'll get there.
Street Fighter Moss
Yeah.
by Kamasi Washington. But we'll hope to see you soon. And this is All Right by Kendrick Lamar. Welcome back to the Gerry and Mander Show on WIUX, LP Bloomington. I'm your host, Gerry.
And I'm your co-host, Mander. Politics and music brought to you by the least informed students on campus.
Truly we are. So, how are you doing today, Mander?
You know, I'm doing pretty great. I'm just vibing. What about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I think that I'm... what's that sound?
You hear that?
Oh my gosh.
Oh
my gosh, it's getting closer. Oh my gosh! Is that the Gerry and Mander mobile?
You bet it is.
Oh my gosh. All right. So let's give some background on what the Gerry and Mander mobile is.
But let's hop on in first.
Yeah, let's hop on in. Oh wow, it's kind of cozy back here in the back seat.
It's a tight fit.
Wow. But you know what? We're gonna make it work. This is our Uber that we ordered just now, and it's we call it the Gerry and Mander mobile because we want to do an interview in this thing.
Yeah.
So we've been reading about a certain someone from District 2 who's running for the Republican nomination there. His name is Andrew Gunther, and we're interested in him because he raised $32,000.
It's a lot of cash.
Yeah, in his pre-election period. $22,500 of those are from the Monroe County Republican Party. But this guy is making waves. It looks like, I mean, I'll make no predictions. I'm no pundit on metropolitan policy and Bloomington politics, but this guy might have a shot. And there hasn't been a Republican from District 2. I mean, they had one back in 2014. Don't fact check me on that. But they've had one more recently than other districts. But this guy seems to have a shot. So what we want to do, Andrew Gunther, if you're listening, and we can't tell you to do anything.
We're not commanding you. It's just
I was going through
a
bunch of. I do research on campaign finance in Bloomington, and I was going through your CFA4, which for our listeners who don't know, a CFA4 is how campaigns essentially list their expenditures and their contributions that they receive. But we saw that you spent over $1,600 on Ubers between April 14th, 2019 and October 11th, 2019 from a range of places. So in honor of that, we are willing to get an Uber. We're going to drive around your district, District 2, where we both live. And we're just going to drive around an Uber for an hour, and we're all going to sit in the back seat, and we're going to do an interview and talk to you about your candidacy for our podcast and also to air on our radio show. So if you want to reach out to us, you can contact WIUX.org.
And if you don't show up, we'll do
probably
it anyways. I'll just sit in the back of an Uber. Why not?
Yeah,
let's do it.
We'll just talk for a while, and we'll look around, and we'll point out things that our listeners can't see, and it won't be that much fun for anyone. So,
but it'll be fun for us.
It'll be a blast for us, I'm sure. So essentially, our next song is going to be by... can you introduce the next song for us, please?
Yeah, so the next song is called Street Fighter Moss by Mr. Kamasi Washington off of his 2018 album Heaven and Earth. And it is a song about political expression, but there are no words in it. So essentially, it's completely instrumental.
And the album Heaven and Earth, for some background, Kamasi Washington was the saxophonist on the song All Right.
Which you just heard.
Which you just listened to. And Kamasi Washington is kind of, I would say kind of a star amongst our group. I'm a big fan of him.
I'm a big fan.
I didn't find him until today. Like I didn't listen to him until today. But I really, really like his stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but he's a saxophonist and general musician. But his album, I was reading about an interview that he did for Vanity.
Mm-hmm. Vanity Fair.
And he was talking about how the album like as through saxophone is inherently political. It's about political expression through music.
Emotionally.
So yeah, I mean, it came out in 2018, and a lot of protest songs, I'm putting that in quotations, because there's a really diverse definition of protest songs. But for him, it's kind of like this expression of what it like expressing his political views
sonically.
Yeah. Fantastic. That was really good, Mander.
Thank you.
Essentially, we would like to share the song with you guys. We hope that you like it. It has no words, I believe. Maybe it has some vocals.
It has some operatic section.
Yeah, but we hope that you enjoy it. Just listen to it as an expression of politics rather than an explicit definition of what is a protest.
Welcome back to the show. This is the Gerry and Mander Show. I'm your host, Mander.
And I'm your co-host, Gerry. And so today, for the 5 o'clock and 40-minute mark, we're going to be talking about the news for this week. So for the week of Sunday, October 27th, Mander, can you start with our first introduction?
Of course. Bloomington community responds to shooting outside brick house through protest petition. Shots fired, alert required, was yelled down South Grant Street during a Friday afternoon march in response to an October 13th shooting. About 20 community members and students gathered at 422 South Grant Street, nicknamed the Brick House. They protest the lack of an IU notify alert issued following the October 13th shooting, and IU asked the tenants of the residents to terminate their lease.
And over $300,000 was embezzled from the IU Foundation. An employee embezzled $326,000, $334.64 from the IU Foundation. The foundation confirmed that on October 17th, Matt Kavgian, Director of Strategic Communications and Projects at the IU Foundation, said nothing else could be confirmed because of an ongoing IU Police Department investigation. And for our final news report, 2 new exhibitions are brought to Grenwald Gallery. The Grenwald Gallery is welcoming 2 new exhibitions to the museum, open until November 20th. The museum's mission is to highlight the work of students, emerging and established artists who come from different backgrounds. According to the gallery's website, the museum focuses on collaborating with artists, scientists, and scholars to create exhibits that interpret art in a broader, scientific, or humanitarian perspective.
Do you hear that? What is that?
Oh, I think someone just walked into the studio.
Someone just walked in.
Hi, hello.
Wait.
Hello.
What is going on? Who are you?
Hi. I'm Phil.
Hi, Phil. What's your full name?
Oh, my name is Phil E. Buster.
Oh, wow.
Phil E.
Well,
Buster.
thank you. So, what do you have for us today?
I was just in the neighborhood, and I thought I might stop by because I heard you guys were playing Kamasi, Washington, and it got me thinking of one of the greatest saxophonists of all time. So I wanted to ask you guys, where were you when you first heard Kenny G?
Sorry, what? Kenny G.
Kenny G. The man who was on the recent Jesus is King album by Kanye West?
You know,
Yes.
That's funny that you say that because I remember exactly where I was when I first heard Kenny G. I was lying in my bunk bed in my room back in my hometown, and I was looking at the lights that were glued to my ceiling, which were little star glow-in-the-darks. And my mom walked in, and she had a little Kenny G CD, and she clicked it into the recorder and started playing Songbird. And I was caressed to sleep by the big man with the bigger heart and even bigger lungs playing his beautiful little saxophone. What about you, Gerry?
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mine wasn't as special. My mom was yelling at me. I was 5 years old and we were in Ohio, and I wasn't getting in the car. And so we got in the car, and it was really awkward. I have two siblings, and we were just sitting in the back seat all together, like in the very back. And we were in a 2001 red Chevy minivan, and we were all sitting like the back seat. So the middle, there was no one there, and my mom was just up in the front left in the driver's seat. And it was November 14th, 2005. And my mom turned on a Christmas album by Michael Bublé. And
It's a Bublé.
and I said, Mom, I don't like Michael Bublé.
Bublé.
Bublé. And she said, I don't care. I like Michael Bublé. And I said, Mom, what about that other guy, like the really good saxophonist who like really likes the alto saxophone? And she said, Nathan, you're 5. You can't. How do you know what an alto saxophone is? And I was like, Mom, my real name's Gerry, and I just really want to hear it. So she took out Michael Bublé, and she put on an album by Kenny G, where he was sitting there, and he was in like this cardigan, and it was brown. And I remember it so vividly. I remember the sound of like the saxophone playing. I was like, wow. It was just my ears.
It was a kiss.
Like I used to have ear infections as a kid a lot, and when I heard Kenny G's
he cured
alto,
it. He did
like,
it.
When I heard the alto saxophone, it, like my ear was like in pain, and then it opened up. It was clogged by like the sin of not listening to Kenny G.
Yeah.
And it was freed by the power of the alto saxophone.
Truly a blessed moment. What about you, Phil E. Buster?
Oh, I've never heard of the guy. That's all I got for you guys. I'm out of here.
What?
Well, thank you. That was our first guest who's ever been on our show.
Okay,
Well, thank you, Phil.
thank you, Phil.
Have
Thank you for blessing us.
No problem.
Have a good one.
See ya. Okay. Well, that was a special moment, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, always hearing about Kenny G brings deep feelings of joy and prognosis to my short-lived life.
But truly enlightened to be blessed by one of his followers.
Yeah, and I mean, well, we can talk about a follower of God, Kanye West. And the reason we're talking about Kenny G is because he was featured on Kanye West's new album, and Jesus is King. And we're going to give a listen to. I think it's. I'm not a huge fan of the album, but Mander, you tend to like it a little bit more than I do.
Yes, sir.
I've kind of grown to it though. I like 2 songs, On God and Follow God. And also the first one, Selah and
Every Hour.
Every Hour. They're bangers. I won't lie.
They're bangers.
The mixing though, I'm always critical of Kanye's mixing.
The mixing's always bad.
But you're gonna hear that for yourself. We're gonna play Follow God. It's only like 2 minutes long, and we'll come back and we're gonna discuss Kanye West's new album,
Jesus is King.
Welcome back to the Gerry and Mander Show, brought to you by WIUX LP Bloomington. That was the song Follow God by Kanye West off his new album, Jesus is King. It came out in
3 days ago.
3 days ago.
3 days ago.
It came out October 25th at noon. It was supposed to come out midnight the 25th, and then midnight the 21st, and then midnight like the 11th, and then like midnight, September 9th, 2017. It's been trying to come out for a long time, which honestly isn't that crazy for Kanye.
Nope.
He always does that, but for how like quickly he's released 3 albums, so he released. I mean, in 2018 he released a bunch of albums, so
Yeah,
but they weren't necessarily his. So he had Kids See Ghosts, which was his collaboration with Kid
Kid
Cudi.
Cudi.
And then he released Yay, which I have mixed feelings about. I really like the first 3 minutes and 9 seconds of I Thought About Killing You. And then, and not to you, Mander, I promise. That's just the line from the song.
Okay, I was
and then,
offended.
and then I really like Violent Crimes.
Ghost Towns.
Ghost Town's great, but I mean, it's basically Kids See Ghost.
It is, you're right. It's Kids See Ghost material.
It is the parable from the Old Testament for the New Testament that was the saving of Kids See Ghost for Kanye West's career back in 2018.
Speaking of being saved,
Jesus is King by
Jesus is
Kanye
King.
West. Born-again Christian Kanye West, a man whose whole life, basically to this point, is characterized by really vulgar language,
profanity.
explicit language.
Explicit language.
Like I'm talking explicit. Like
Listen to Jesus and you'll hear it.
We can't say most of it, but if you listen to the song, Father, Stretch Out My Hand,
Part one.
Part 1.
Just the first lines, you'll know it. Just we're not going to say it, but you'll know.
It's about something that is on a very, very high point on the pH scale on a T-shirt, how it gets bleached.
Yeah.
And what happens to a certain part of the body.
Yeah.
So essentially, but Kanye West is kind of known for that. But back in 2018, and one of the big themes today is about national politics. He got really involved in national politics.
He wore the MAGA hat.
Yeah, and he released a song called Yay versus the People. And in preparation for the show, we do a lot of research. And I was looking into Ranker.com's, which is not the most reputable source, but I would say it's an open source way for all people to rate a song.
It's how I picked going to IU. I went to Ranker.com and it was on there and I said, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was going between two universities. I was between Harvard and IU, and Ranker.com said Harvard sucks.
That's what I heard.
And they were all like, "This is a terrible school."
But they said IU fulfills the promise.
They said that if you go to Kelly School of Business, you're basically it's like Kanye West. You're born again, and like you're just saved from everything.
Exactly.
And so I said, you know what? I'm not going to go to Kelly, but I'm going to go to IU, and I'm going to be in proximity to Kelly.
Proximity, exactly.
As close as I can in the O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs. So essentially, Jesus is King came out, and I first want to talk to Mander about his opinion on the album.
Yeah,
and then we'll talk a little bit about my feeling on it. And so let's start out for our listeners. Just give two sentences, and then rate it out of 10. Like let's just really make this as basic as possible.
Okay, so you want me like 2 sentences, 2 words?
2 sentences.
Okay, I'm gonna say. Let's think. I'm gonna say, ethereally kissed by the heavens, period. So that's the first sentence. Ethereal kissed by the heavens. Kanye going off. 8.5 out of 10.
Are you serious? 8.5 out of 10?
I don't play games, Jerry. No carnival, no games.
Oh my gosh. My opinion is mine is in a sentence with lots of commas. Poor mixing, too short, fails at creating solid music based entirely on one concept that inherently does not make it a good song just because it's based on gospel. I would give Jesus King a 4 out of 10. On a re-listen, I'm thinking maybe a 5. But I know that is heresy. There's a lot of controversy, particularly in the Twitterverse and on r/Kanye on Reddit. People are really polarized.
There's
on this
debates.
thing. And mine does not come from it has nothing to do with a religious background. It's that I look at Jesus King and Kanye essentially, and this happened with Ye, is the mixing. In the song, what song was it? Closed on Sunday at the 38-second mark.
Yeah.
You can hear. And how would you describe it?
It's literally him clicking the mouse on Ableton to stop the recording for the vocal. So that.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like
It's
that.
like how did that slip
that
through?
level of I won't call it laziness, but
He's a bit of a lummox, I feel.
Can you explain what a lummox is to people? Because I still don't even. know what a
He's
lummox.
clumsy.
Oh, okay. There we go.
He's like slow with it.
Yeah,
Like he just lets things slip by, which I will admit, despite the fact that I like the album a lot and I like Kanye, it's apparent and undeniable that things like this slip through the cracks when they shouldn't on this level of production and with this amount of people having their hands on the album. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
With all that being said, though, I feel like the clutterness of it and the clunkiness of it and the weird abruptness of it kind of adds to the vibe, and it gives it its distinct characteristics, because I feel like every Kanye album is like a different side of the coin, and he's always presenting something new about himself, and this album is his gospel album, it's his religious album, it's his God album. So I appreciate it for that, and I don't think it's like anywhere nearly his best album. Definitely not.
Oh, far from it.
Like absolutely no.
Like when you listen to like his early stuff, I mean,
College Dropout, Late Registration.
yeah, I mean, even Graduation, which is basically just bling rap at its finest.
It's
and
definitive bling rap.
then you got My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which is I don't know. The more I listen to it, I used to consider that 10 out of 10. I think, and this might be my hottest take.
It's a hot take.
Is that
I was gonna say it?
I think it's gone down to an 8 out of 10, purely because of the Chris Rock, because of his contribution, his collaboration on it. It's so terrible. And
That is a fact.
and and we encourage our dearest listeners
To listen.
to listen to the entirety of Kanye's discography.
Formulate your own opinion.
And I would say listen to it over like the course of a long time.
I see.
and
That's what I do. I always re-listen to his albums,
Yeah.
but I listen to an album a day.
So like, and what I did was I listened to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy first, and then I went forward to I went forward to Life of Pablo,
And then you went
and then
backwards.
I waited a long time, and then I went to Graduation, and I was really straying away from like old Kanye,
Yeah.
like Late Registration and College Dropout. I went back; those are my favorites. And then 808 and Heartbreak is like that's the one I've really gotten into recently. Which is technically we're allowed to play most of that album on the radio.
It's clean.
And one of the reasons that we are allowed to play Jesus is King is because it's entirely clean.
Yeah, there's no cussing, no profanity, no
like,
vulgarity.
The first iteration, it was called Yandi, and it was leaked. And was it Yandi whenever it was leaked, or did it have a different name?
It was Yandi when it leaked.
And there was a lot of profanity. between
Yeah,
the first
it was
song.
gross.
But he went by the time he was like born again. He went through and he changed the whole thing. I mean, there was a Denzel Curry collab on there. There were a bunch of things that I was really
I think
excited
there's
to hear.
XXXTentacion.
Yeah, I mean, like there's
Future.
There was a lot of features and parts of it that I was really excited about.
Yeah.
But he cut just for the sake of getting rid of the explicit parts of it,
Which I understand though, because it adds
fair.
it
Is fair.
and it adds the distinctiveness of the album.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's very unique to hear someone of his caliber and his like popularity
Do that.
essentially just do a complete switch. I mean, he's always been as an artist
Subversive.
Yeah, he's been subversive, but he's also tried to move around. Like, there's a lot of videos on like YouTube where people are like comparing his albums through like TV shows.
Yeah.
But they always talk about like Late Registration is jazz. He
Exactly.
and for that album, I don't know if you know this or not, but have you seen the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
Oh, I've seen that movie.
It is my favorite movie of like the 2000s.
Yeah.
Not the 2010s, but the 2000s. My favorite movie of the 2010s that I would recommend that you listen to is Call Me by Your Name.
You got these sad boy movies recommended.
I do. I think that
we really crying out here. 2019.
I mean, Lord of the Rings is like a really close second, though. I mean, and Ratatouille, like those movies that are more, I don't know, they're fantasy, and then Ratatouille is just like I really enjoy cooking. I've gotten to cooking last year.
Hey, Gerry.
Yeah.
I'm the Alfredo to your Remy.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that means a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that means together we make beautiful things.
Like grilled cheese on a car,
dashboard.
On a dashboard.
Or even just a show about the two least informed students on campus talking about politics and music and giving their unexpert opinion on Kanye album's most recent album, Jesus is King, or literally anything else.
But this is how we do it, and it's America, so
we can do whatever we want. Well, not anything. But
we can do whatever we want within the reason of law.
Yeah, and we are law-abiding citizens.
And you know who else is a law-abiding citizen? Kanye West. Mostly.
Yeah, mostly.
Mostly.
So that's going to end our show for today. We've really enjoyed speaking with you today. We hope that you listen to the next show. They do sports, so it's very different from what we do. But, it's a very different vibe than what we do. And we encourage you to continue listening. You can come back again here next week for the 5 to 6 p.m. mark. And, yeah, I mean, Mander, do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, so I think that it was a pretty productive episode for us. We got to cover a lot of territory and a lot of land.
Oh, my gosh.
A lot of ground. But I think overall, we got the job done.
We did.
That's actually probably up to you to decide, you, the listener. But if I was to self-report, self-grade, I'd give myself an 100%. And I'm not going to brag. But I think I think it was the perfect show.
Well, I won't give an opinion. I'll have to re-listen to it and figure out if it was literally if there was any substance.
I'm not going to
re-listen
to it because then I'm going to dislike it. So I'm just going to keep the ignorance is bliss mentality.
That's fair. All right. Well, thank you for listening with us today. It is Monday, October 28th, 2019. We'll see you after the spooky day of the year, Halloween, next Monday, November 4th. Have a wonderful day. Stay classy, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.